as coaches and gym owners, like it's up to us to celebrate these wins that people have as well.
Yeah.
Like they don't go to work and have their co-workers celebrate that they got 5 push-ups on their toes. Like no one celebrates that. So that's up to your coaches to sort of make a deal of things that might seem small, but no one else is going to celebrate for them. So
yeah,
that's where we're here.
Whisper in the ear and saying, remember last week you couldn't,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, you couldn't do that. But it's pulling someone to the side and having a one-on-one conversation, not in front of a class or 6 other people.
It's that individual,
that touch.
Hey, welcome to the Bodies Built Better podcast. I'm your host, Jackie Tan, and I'm so grateful you are here with me today. This show is all about human performance. I chat with experts, athletes, coaches on all the things you should be doing to experience your full potential and perform at your best. And today on the show, I have the absolute pleasure of chatting with coaches Matt Hunt and Alex Menchin, owners of global fitness studio UNit. Their philosophy, we train as a one, is all around building strength, muscular endurance and mobility. UNit's training is designed around a sole purpose: improve each member's individual performance. And I can say without a doubt that is exactly what they do, and they come good on their promises. I had the pleasure of training at UNit when I lived in Sydney last year now, and the results really do speak for themselves. I was lifting the heaviest I've ever lifted. I was feeling amazing. And of course, when you feel strong and you feel good, everything seems better in life. So UNit is such a special place for me. Matt and Alex have created such a wonderful place to train. The culture of the gym is everything you want it to be. It's community focused, it's welcoming, inclusive, fun. And of course, when it comes to the workouts, they're challenging and their results focused. They are skilled, knowledgeable, and practice what they preach. They are also the loveliest, kindest people and are very funny. They bring a lot of humor into your training sessions. And if you're in Sydney, this is the place that you should be training. Today, we chat about the best ways to get back into fitness, especially after suffering COVID, the mistakes people make getting back into fitness, how to overcome mindset blocks, and the one thing everyone needs to stop doing right now. All of that in this episode. So let's dive straight in with Alex and Matt of UNit. Matt and Alex, thank you so much for chatting with me today. Welcome to the Bodies Built Better podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you. Good to see your face.
It's so good to talk to you guys because I'm not sure if I mentioned this last year, but before joining UNit, I was coming from an injury, felt miserable because training is a massive part of, life and my life. And, when you can't train, emotionally, mentally, physically kind of all goes downhill a little. And I didn't want to go back to the place where I got injured. And so when I finally found you guys, it was like, thank goodness. And I'll always remember this. So Matt, we'd never spoken and we'd never met each other. Alex, we had a few exchanges via email.
Yeah.
But the very, very first time I walked into your studio, Matt cracks me up every time I think about this. Like Jackie Tan, the myth, the legend.
The myth, the legend.
Oh, it's so fantastic. And I look at, and Alex, you've got this big smile on your face and you welcomed me. And I just thought, yeah, this is my place. This is my people. And it was so fantastic. And obviously the programs are so awesome. And yeah, I loved being there and I miss being there. So I thought, to get us started, I really would love to know your journeys into fitness and then into UNit because you're so brilliant at it.
Oh, that's very, very kind of you. I'm blushing. It's a very long-winded story, but I'll try and condense mine.
How did you start fitness?
I got into fitness because my brother was essentially doing it in Orange. And my mum, long story, got really sick, and he was living at home by that stage. And to spend some time together, we bought a power tower, which is like a chin-up bar, dips and some push-ups and some leg raiser stuff. And bought some dumbbells, some barbells. And that's kind of how my journey started, because I was a pretty overweight teenager and kid. And I wanted to lift with Tim as a bit of a bro thing to do. And my journey into fitness was pretty quickly done, because I was doing amateur theatre at the time, and I wanted to look a certain way for this part that I was playing. And he wasn't a chubby teenager; he was a masculine kind of man. So I did it for a while, but I just enjoyed the benefits and the social aspect with Tim, my brother. And it kind of started from when I was 19-ish, 19. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up as a dancer. So I had danced from a very young age, the age of 5, right through my teenage years. I guess I didn't need any other sort of fitness. Dance was my life. I danced 4, 5, 6 days a week. So I really didn't start the gym until I met this guy. Again, I was probably about 19. And you finish school, you finish your sort of your after school dancing, and then you're at a point in your life where you need to either make dance your career or you need to find another form of fitness. So I guess, it was probably mostly Matt that convinced me that I needed a gym membership.
I didn't say it like that.
And
I hope not.
Come with me, babe. Come with me.
Yeah.
That's where I started sort of, I guess, group fitness, actually going to a gym to work out as opposed to in a dance studio.
Yeah.
Date night.
Yeah.
Let's go to the gym.
Time together.
Similar. Yeah,
That's pretty similar to my story, Alex, as in, the whole dance thing, and certainly wasn't going to be a career for me. I mean, I would have liked it too, but Dad was like, you find a real career.
Yeah.
But it was massage for me.
That's the question,
What's that?
It's a real career.
Yeah, well, that's it, exactly. These days anyway.
Yeah, 2022, yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us, because I know you both lived in, was it London?
Yes.
Yeah, so tell us about that and how that happened, and then moving back here.
So we essentially moved over for my role on the West End, and the gig started pretty soon after the one finished in Australia. And I moved over in February, and you moved over in April.
Yeah. So we moved to London because Matt got a job there.
Yeah.
So that was the initial move to London. We had both previously done like gap years in London separately before we had met each other when we were 18. And then we had met when I was about 19, spent some time in Sydney together, then moved back to London. And so, Matt was full-time acting for a long time, and sort of, my days
are quite free, and I was always doing PT and fitness because I qualified when I was 18, 19. And I thought, what can I do with my time? Because I really enjoyed doing it. And it was pretty much to go to London was to do the Jersey Woods show I was doing. And that kind of fell into doing fitness full time. So I kind of switched from that movement to that movement.
It was a way to stay healthy, I guess, while you were in the show.
Yeah.
We were lucky a lot of the people in the cast liked fitness as well. So there's a lot of bonding with other cast members.
Yeah.
So it's just all tied in together, really. We didn't set out to join the gym there.
And was it unit?
No, at the time it was F45. So there was we were looking to franchise our own establishment, whether it be F45 or another thing. And then we found that the one that was closest to us was in London Bridge, and that was literally a stone's throw from where we lived. And I was still doing the show, and Alex and I had contacted the CEO or the GM of the current studio, and went and saw the space, and he was still painting, and he was putting in kit and knocking down the walls and stuff. And I don't know what happened, but we clicked just straight away. It was this instant bromance just kicked up between myself and Rob.
You just know when you meet good people, don't you?
Totally.
No.
So Rob was Rob Smith, the guy who is the CEO of Unit. He was actually in the process of setting up F45. It was the first F45 in Europe.
Yeah.
So he had the master franchise. So this was like at the very beginning of sort of F45's journey. And so Rob had discovered it in Australia, moved, but he's actually Irish, had moved back to the UK and was going to start this string of F45s in London. So we were inquiring about opening up our own F45. From F45 head office got put in touch with Rob, and they were like, he's got the master franchise, so go and like have a conversation with him. And we just ended up, we met Rob and his wife Danielle in London, and we just ended up becoming friends, I guess.
And it was a throwaway comment from me saying, if you need a casual or a cover coach, I'll happy to teach a few classes as well. Probably like a week later, Rob said, I haven't found anybody that I like. Can you come and teach a class or two? I was like, yeah, sure. And that's how it kind of started.
That's how it all started. So Matt would coach there during the days, go and do the shows at night. I would just train there. And we sort of just watched sort of, Rob create this F45 in London. This
little community. It grew really quickly.
And grew really quick, obviously, as F45 does. And then, a number of years later, Rob was ready to open up a new space and had decided he wasn't going to stick with F45. And honestly, Unit was created almost overnight.
Yeah, it was.
Rob was like, had this idea, had made the decision. He had a space and it had intended to initially be an F45. And then just a split decision was like, I'm not going to run with F45 anymore. I'm going to do my own thing. And so Rob flipped it and was like, this is how Unit was created.
Yeah, so there's a lot of conversation with Rob and I had about, obviously Rob is the CEO and is the founder, but it was a bit of a collaboration between people who were working there at the time. Like, how can we make better? What's missing with group training? And what can we add to this, and this? And there's an accumulation of everything Rob's done the past 12 years with fitness in a team sports environment. How can you bring that into a group setting? So my contract ended, let's say on a Friday.
On West End, yeah.
Yeah, on the West End on a Friday. And I started work on the Tuesday at Unit. Full time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it all happened pretty quickly.
Unit, though, is so different to an F45.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
Tell us, the philosophy, the programming. And
yeah, I think that was it. Rob comes from like a rugby background, right? Yeah. So sports sort of training. His career was sort of ended there with an injury, as is very common case with a lot of athletes. So he, after doing F45 for a number of years, was like, how can I make it more aligned with the background he had with training? And yes, group training exists, but how can you make it even more team-based and even more connecting to the people that you're training with and even more kind of pushing each other?
Well, it's competitive cardio.
So there's a huge competitive element. I think Unit has lots of different things that make it unique, and that's why it's like this sort of like whole mind blown of like differences and stuff like that. So yeah, you've got your competitive cardio, so working in teams, working in partners, trios, groups, to really push, max points, max reps.
Yeah, you work a bit harder with relying on someone and they're relying on you.
Yeah, and then you've got, even within the strength sessions, like you're usually partnered up, so you're helping each other. What weight do you want to lift? Do you need a hand? Let's spot. It's very much integrated in every single class, how there's ways to chat to people.
Train as one, right?
Yeah, that's the motto. Well, I really loved it. I noticed straight away the difference in terms of the training programs, because I got really strong really quickly, and obviously, consistency and all like that helps. But for me, it was in a really safe way. And I know that's kind of crazy to say. Of course you want to do it in a safe way, but not all gyms are created equal.
We found that obviously, Sydney, as you know, and even Adelaide, where you are, it's still quite competitive. There's a lot of group classes around group training facilities. What makes you different? And the space can look cool and it can look really slick and have the greatest kit. But if the program's not great, then nothing's going to happen. And people want to see results at the end of the day. That's basically how it is.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of great programs around. I think absolutely. It ultimately comes down to the trainers. And I think that's Rob always had this really initial, like the very core people that were around when unit started. Rob has a really good way of picking good eggs. I don't know how he does it, but
annoying.
Yeah, he can spot it from a mile away. So the team that initially started unit was such great people and great coaches and all good from their respective fields. And I think that really helped when it came to designing unit and designing the classes, that everyone, there was like different backgrounds,
disciplines,
different disciplines, but it really just, it shows in the programming of just from the very beginning. It's not like it started and had to develop this way. It was literally from day one, these really great elements that all came together.
It was the purpose of doing strength for strength training and not just doing random dumbbells. Like there's a process, there's progressive overload, and there's not just cardio for the sake of doing cardio. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, how can it help my strength training? How can it improve my overall fitness?
It offsets everything else. And I think from me with unit, it was coming from a performance background. So I'm sure you've done my classes, Jackie. You've seen the performance element that I.
It is the best part of the training, to be honest.
You may have seen that. You may not have seen that. I'm sure. So I brought that, and then Gary, who was one of the OGs as well, had a teaching background. So he's commanding a room.
Very good at educating.
Yeah, commanding a room is, you have to be engaging and you have to educate, motivate, and inspire people.
Absolutely. So would you say that Rob really influenced the way that you train and teach and educate and even communicate with your clients? Like, who influenced you through the years of and until now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Rob is always, I mean, in my mind, the best trainer that has ever had.
Whoa.
It should be. But no, I think, like I say, every coach was good at something different.
Yeah.
And that's why Gary was the educator. He was always very educational. I always found Rob's classes, he was very inspiring, was able to throw out the correct words at the right time. You've got Matt, who's like this big personality. So he gives the sort of the performance of the room. So I think, everyone from the sort of the beginning of the brought something different.
And then I think as it's gone on, you take elements from someone else and go, that really worked there really well. And you kind of accumulate and make a mix in a bowl, and it turns out to be like that. Yeah. So I was a very different coach to unit and F45. I found myself wanted to push people more, wanted to educate more, because we had more time to do it. There was processes and systems to make members athletes and make them better.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, speaking of members, let's get into helping people. So for those starting out or getting back into fitness, how do you recommend they get started? Because number one, it can be really intimidating, especially nowadays where everyone seems to be a fitness influencer, or they're coming back from injury. Like, what would you recommend for them to starting their fitness journey?
Well, firstly, you've got to reach out. Like I'm always really happy with these people who are either have been off training for a number of years or who are brand new to training. It's always I get really happy when they actually first make that contact or first book in for that class, and you really appreciate, like, you can usually tell the people who an environment like a gym can be a little bit overwhelming for people, and it's pretty obvious. I think recognizing it is the first kind of but for people, they need to reach out first. If they're uncomfortable, like, it's so easy, Instagram, send a quick DM, I want to try it, but I'm not really sure how to start. And that's such a low barrier way to get in touch, especially, we're all on our phones 24/7 nowadays. And as a business, Instagram is huge for us in terms of communicating. So we're quite happy to get those Instagram and Messenger sort of like little reaches out, or even, a phone call. But some people are a little bit intimidated by a phone call. So text can
Nobody does that these days, surely.
You would watch your phone ring and then text them.
Exactly. Screen it, then text.
I did it just then.
And then you're always going to get a response from either one of us, and we're the ones that are here in class. So it's that first contact, and if you're intimidated about coming in, then I would suggest, honestly, just send a text, send a quick Instagram DM.
I think the hardest part for most people is starting a conversation. I think if you're brand new, that's the hardest part. Is I don't know where to start. And like some gyms are very intimidating, but Alex and I are very chill, very relaxed and casual. Come in without the class being on and have a conversation. Like, if you meet the person that's running the place or meeting the coaches before the class even started, you're not going in blind. You're not feeling intimidated because, oh, g'day, Jenny, we saw you yesterday. Let's go today.
We've had that phone call, we've had that consultation. And then it's just, and then it comes back on us then as gym owners or coaches. It's up to us to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So, that's where we have to be sure that we've explained the class and that we've made sure they know where everything is. And, those little emails before they even get to class, like this is what the gym looks like, or this is what your coaches look like, or so all that member journey is really important for those new people.
But not even that, if you're coming in blind, you have to follow a program. You can't just go in willy-nilly and go, I'll just pick up this dumbbell for the sake of dumbbell. There has to be a reason why you're doing it. So any person starting a strength program, I'd recommend following a program.
Absolutely. And you guys do it so well. And, in terms of that breaking that barrier, Alex, like you said, get in touch. I remember getting in touch with you again via email, and even though it's email, you can still tell so much about a person the way they communicate, whether it's...
I think that's why we're so excited when you first came in, because there'd been multiple back and forth, and you know that she's going to be a good person when she gets here.
Yeah.
Well, what are the biggest mistakes that people make when starting their journey?
Oh gosh, too hard, too fast.
Yeah, too hard, too fast.
Yeah. Guilty.
Yeah, that you really, you've got to start with the lighter weights, even if it feels lighter and it feels like you're not doing anything. Your muscles are learning and adapting, and probably not programming in or not giving yourself recovery, not actually like recognizing that recovery is part of your fitness journey.
Yep.
Are you sleeping? Are you having rest days? Are you going for the walks? Like people, I think they think, oh, if I go 5 days a week, but then for 2 days a week, I'm just going to sit at home and do nothing and eat what I want. It doesn't work like that. You can't go 100% for 5 days and then do nothing else, not factor in.
You think about all the hours of the day, what you spend time in the gym is a minuscule amount of time of your week. So what you're doing in the gym is probably
only half your journey.
It's way more important than what you're doing.
Yeah.
In and out of the gym. It's a process. I mean, for me, it's too hard, too fast. You got to start small and stay patient. It's literally a marathon. It's not a sprint. There's no fixes. There's no fads. I mean, as well anyone, all these diet trends and fads and stuff. And it works, but
it's temporary.
Are you going to do that forever? Is this a lifelong thing? And then it goes back to the reasons why you're doing this. Why are you here? What do you want to do? Where do you want to be?
That's it. It is a lifestyle. And if you can't, make that transition from that quick fix to, doing the things that are right for your body, mentally, physically, emotionally, long term, then it's...
Yeah.
Well, we found that, we've done all the other group classes, and they say these challenges where you drop the calories in a huge calorie deficit for, 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks. And then, you look great after 8 weeks, whatever it is, but straight away you put it straight back on because it's not sustainable. You can't manage it. And you're not lifting heavier. You've lost body fat, of course.
You've also lost muscle.
You've lost muscle mass as well. So for us, we'd never say, you've got to eat this. Like,
let's go with 1,200 calories.
Let's work for you. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to lift more? You've got to eat a bit more.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's so important to point out, is that you might lose the weight, but yes, it is both fat, but also muscle as well. And so just because the scales say you've lost this amount of weight, it doesn't actually mean that it could be the healthiest thing for you. Yeah.
It's still, it's 2022, and the scales, I always say the scales don't measure sexy. So you can't, you're looking at these numbers and go, well, I haven't lost any weight, but you're doing 7 full push-ups on your toes and you weren't doing that 6 weeks ago.
Yes.
incredible. That's amazing.
That's
So
it.
for us, it's performance first and aesthetics second.
Absolutely. It's change that mindset and focus onto, what are the things that actually matter?
Yeah.
The fact that you can do now push-ups onto your toes.
I have a conversation every week with a member about the
Yeah.
scales and losing weight and all that.
Yes.
I wish people would. I wish you couldn't buy scales for your home. I don't know
Yeah.
why people have scales in their homes.
Do you know what? We have scales, but the only time we ever use them is when we're traveling and we have to measure how heavy our baggage is.
I mean, the only scales you should have is the kitchen ones
The
for like
digital scale.
for making sure you know what you're eating.
That's
That's
40
like
grams of rice.
that's it. Yeah. It's always so disheartening when people come in and they say, "Oh, they weigh themselves every day, or they weigh themselves even every week sometimes," and I just think,
Yeah, it's that mindset that's been pushed in for years and years and years. You have to weigh yourself. You have to look
Exactly.
weigh a certain amount. But you see a photo of a woman who weighs 55 kilos and is stick thin and has no muscle mass, and the same photo of a 55-kilo woman who looks incredibly muscular and toned and healthy, and it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same.
Exactly. That's right. Or they come in and then they're like, I've put on weight. I'm heavier now. And it's like, but you're stronger now. That's why you can do a pull up and you can bench press, whatever it is. So yeah, it's completely.
Drinking a liter of water as well before.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, fluids, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about mindset a little bit more. How do you help clients get through those blocks and negative thinking around health, around fitness, around, unfortunately, still talking about it, body image?
Yeah, it's look,
individual.
Yeah, every case is a little bit different. What's really great is so obviously when members hit goals or hit little milestones, that's when they start to feel better. So you need to give people achievable targets, small increments at a time, so they can feel progress and see progress, because that's what gives them the motivation to keep going. That's obviously a lot easier said than done. You really have to, as coaches and gym owners, like, it's up to us to celebrate these wins that people have as well.
Yeah.
Like, they don't go to work and have their co-workers celebrate that they got 5 push-ups on their toes. Like, no one celebrates that. So that's up to your coaches to sort of make a deal of things that might seem small, but no one else is going to celebrate for them. So
yeah,
that's where we're here.
Whisper in the ear and saying, "Remember last week you couldn't?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago you couldn't do that." But it's pulling someone to the side and having a one-on-one conversation, not in front of a class or 6 other people.
It's that individual, like,
that touch.
Remember when you started and you couldn't do a deadlift, or it's really important that coaches like recognize even stuff that's silly or stuff that seems insignificant. And it's easy as a coach to kind of, for it to pass you over, to skip over it. But like, no one else is celebrating that for them. So they need to be reminded, I guess, of their own journey. I
think it's also, I say it again, it's the why. There's a reason why you're doing this. There's a reason why you got up at 5 a.m. in the morning. I mean, a lot of it is aesthetics, but for a lot of people, especially nowadays, it's a lot of mental health. It's a lot of these anxieties and these issues I have at home or at work or in society that I feel better after I've been to the gym. I said, well, that's your why. You want to feel better in yourself. And I know for myself that if I don't eat, I'm very angry. But if I don't train, I feel very anxious and I always feel, I know once I finish the session, I'm going to feel amazing.
Yeah.
So then on the flip side of that, how do you deal with the client who is going too hard or too much and it's potentially becoming detrimental to their health and well-being? What's that conversation look like?
So, I mean, it's hard for the everyday person to overtrain. But there is definitely people who perhaps are lifting heavier than they should be, just from a safety perspective. To be honest, they're usually harder to deal with than those who aren't pushing themselves enough.
It's more ego.
It's a very ego thing. We're really lucky, actually, that our sort of here at UNET, it doesn't really foster that kind of environment. That sort of macho and ego naturally doesn't really exist. We
don't do 1 rep max.
We don't do massive loads. We're not there to just build up to sort of 200 deadlifts. It's not, to be honest, not really a big problem for us, which is, we're really lucky. It's about education.
Absolutely.
We cycle through, our program obviously works in 4-week blocks. You're aware of that. So there's naturally this opportunity, because we cycle from sort of higher reps, lower weights, to higher weights, lower reps. So there's that inbuilt kind of system to encourage people to drop the weights
and learn
how it feels and fatiguing and stuff like that, versus just whacking on as much weight as possible.
But again, it's the same flip side of saying someone's brand new and someone's been here for 6-12 months. Again, I will have a one-on-one conversation saying, don't you dare come in tomorrow. Like, take the next 3 days off. Have a word to yourself. Like, you don't need to be here. You look tired. You look undernourished, or whatever you're doing. It's having that group training facility, but having a coach that actually cares about you and what you want to do. So take a weekend off, eat what you want to eat, and come back on Monday.
Yeah.
Education, really, isn't it?
So, I mean, you mentioned it. You guys definitely don't have those egos in there, which is what I love about it. How do you manage that, I guess, that positive collective culture and mindset through your space?
I think you attract the people that you are. I think you manifest the members that come in naturally. And if you're not everyone can gel with everyone. That's just society. But I think if you're giving out a positive energy and celebrating small wins like we do, then you'll attract those kind of people as well.
I think even just walking into the space, we don't look like a CrossFit, for example. We don't, or like a gym that's in a big shed. We're in a bit of a nicer space. It's kept clean. There's not chalk everywhere. There's not weights left all over the floor.
It's vacuumed 8 times a day.
Things have a home, and I'm a really big believer in, like, when you walk into a space, you treat it as it's sort of presented to you. I come from a customer service background, and if you walk into a venue and you've got chairs that are all over the place and like dirty tables and whatever, that's how the venue is going to be treated by anyone that walks in. So the first thing is, I guess, the appearance of the space. You walk in, it is like, it's crisp, it's clean, everything has a home. When members have finished units, we're like very vocal about tidy your space, wipe down your kit, let's move on. So it's just part of what we do. So I feel like anyone who comes into the gym with those kinds of egos and is used to that sort of environment wouldn't really feel at home here. They would, pretty quickly. And that's good for us. That's the environment we've created, which is what we want. Yeah.
You attract the people that you want in there. And I remember being there and getting ready to start the class, and, people would roll in and you would introduce us to each other, which I thought was great. And so we all then head over and do the warm up. A big thing when you guys opened, it was straight after the lockdowns.
Sure
in
was.
Sydney.
Yeah.
So it was. So in terms of this whole COVID, sickness and thing. Yeah, exactly. This thing has become a thing. How do you manage, or how do you educate people in terms of coming back from suffering with COVID and coming back into their training? Because the thing that I've heard most is how different people are experiencing their COVID. Like, it's so completely different. So how do you manage people coming back into the gym after they've had COVID?
Well, I think, firstly, you've got to understand that everyone is so different. Like myself, we had COVID back last year, and we were one of the lucky ones. We sort of were able to almost jump straight back in. Yeah, the first couple of sessions were a little bit challenging, but we essentially were able to jump straight back in. We strongly discourage people coming to a conditioning class initially, because that's where people feel it, isn't it? It's in their sort of cardiovascular fitness. So the best way to get moving is with a resistance class, with a strength class, and to like almost treat it as if it's your first strength session again, like 50% of the weight that you were perhaps lifting beforehand.
You almost don't want to feel the resistance.
You don't want to feel it. You just want to move.
Just want to move. Yeah. But everyone, as I've said, is everyone's different. And I feel like this round or COVID now is very different to when everyone had it in December.
Perhaps the first time, yeah. And this is the thing with all the sort of ever-changing strains, like people are feeling it so differently and even, differently to when we had it back last year. So it's educating people to actually tune into themselves and how they're feeling. But just managing, I would definitely recommend resistance training first.
And I think the mindset of you're not going to be able to do what you used to do.
Yeah.
As soon as you recognize that, you'll be okay.
Yeah, that's it. I certainly remember the first time getting back into the gym after having COVID. Actually, not that long ago, a few weeks ago now. I'm just like, all of that good work. But anyway, I overcame.
It'll come back relatively quickly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, members were saying it's been 6 weeks since COVID, 8 weeks since COVID. I still feel really tired, really lethargic. I said, well, it's a marathon, mate. It's not a sprint. Like what happens.
Exactly. That's right. And being okay with that, like understanding that and being okay with that, not being hard on yourself and getting just, like you said, going back to getting into the gym and doing the weights that you began with, and that something is better than nothing. And
just moving and moving your body and slowing it down, and just you'll pick it up. I mean, your body doesn't really forget, like you will get back to it, and that's the thing, is you absolutely will. You've just got to keep going.
That's right. Some people need to have a break as well.
It's forced rest.
It's forced rest. Some people need to slow down and reassess.
Start again,
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. I have a few clients who the gym or running or exercise is their outlet. And if they're not doing that, then they go downhill even quicker because they don't have that thing that allows them to feel better, have their release, have their it's really important just to keep moving, whatever it is you're doing.
The health benefits, as you know, it's just something's always better than nothing.
Exactly. Yeah. So what do you encourage your clients to be doing in terms of their recovery, whether it is that person coming back from COVID or whether it is, someone's doing, your 6-week block there, maybe in the middle or towards the end where it's feeling really tough, and how do you encourage them to manage their recovery?
Recovery is one thing, and then there's goals as well. If it's your short-term, long-term goals, you can hold on. If your goal is to do this in 6 weeks, then you can hold on for 6 weeks. But if your long-term goals, then listen to your body. If you're tired, listen to your body. You don't have to pick up that weight. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do 100%. You can go 60% and still get the same benefits. But you have to listen to your body. And if you are tired, why are you tired? Are you eating enough of the right foods? Are you sleeping enough? Are you stressed? As your hormones, all that kind of stuff. There's so many different factors as to people. If they need to rest, take a rest. Like if I have probably 2 days rest a week, and that's forced, to be honest. But everyone's different.
Yeah, we do warm-ups and cool downs in every class. It's not enough, certainly not enough stretching mobility, but it is sort of highlights to the members that it is a big part of your training. We've got a whole sort of warm-up area for the guys. We have foam rollers, massage guns. We're always telling them, use them, come before class, stay after class, let's warm up, let's mobility. Like we're big, we do spend a lot of time encouraging, why don't you get a massage? Why don't you go and sit in a sauna? Like everyone's recovery looks a little bit different. I don't love sitting in saunas. Matt does.
Love it.
we like try and have you gone for a walk? Like if you're having a rest day, there's no reason why you can't go for a walk or a cycle. Just again, it's just that repeating information, isn't it? I mean, you probably sell it to your clients all day long, just repeating information.
Exactly.
You don't need a gym to be mobile.
All the tools are there. Let's stretch before we go to bed. Let's do our hamstrings in the shower, kind of thing. Like,
but it's the regressions as well. Coming into a gym and my back's really sore, so let's not do that. It's being a coach and saying, well, if you're sore there, we can obviously strengthen that muscle. There's something else you can do. Yeah. We can do something else today, and tomorrow's a new day. Next day, you can always regress. There's always some modifications to do, and if you're not, as a coach, not looking and listening to your clients, then you're not a very good coach.
Yeah.
Amen, sister.
Amen to that. Training plateaus. I mean, I feel like that's non-existent in terms of the programming that you guys do. But for those who come in and say, "Oh, look, I can't lift heavier. Like, I'm not getting that pull up. I'm still using the green band or whatever it is." How do you manage, I guess, that with your clients in the gym, but also mindset-wise as well?
Yeah, when people are plateauing, there's, it's quite individual. There's a couple of reasons, like perhaps people aren't mobile enough for one reason or another. So you obviously offer some drills for them. Maybe people aren't sleeping enough. Maybe people are stressed at work. Maybe people aren't eating enough. So there's many different factors. So it's about communicating, encouraging them to do something different as well. Like if all you do is come to the gym 6 days a week, like, I don't know, maybe you want to go for a run, or maybe you want to go rock climbing, or and I guess communicating that that's okay, or that it's okay that if you normally train 5 days a week, maybe for the next couple of weeks you're only going to come in 3 times.
Yeah. And
you're not going to lose your fitness. You're not going to, I don't know, turn into some overweight person. Like, I don't know, it's the conversation that plateaus are very normal. You can't forever add weights and get heavier and heavier.
I think for us, as you said, that the program allows for that stimulus change every 4 weeks, because your body does adapt in 4 or 6 weeks, and that's why we shake it up. So muscles get used to something else, and there's a new bunch of classes and a new class coming on and new trainers coming in. Everything's different and exciting. You throw new exercises in. So people are constantly learning and being challenged. Then plateau is less likely.
Absolutely. So what would you say is the best metric, or I don't want to say success, but the metric people can look to measure by how well their training is going, how well their nutrition is going? Because it's certainly not the scales. So what are we looking at?
No, I would probably say it's about how, when they can sort of see the impact that their training is having on their everyday life, and whether that's, I can fit into a pair of jeans I could never fit into before, or I can walk this track that I never thought I could do, or
I'm a lot more focused during the day.
Yeah, I can sit up, I'm focused during the day, or yeah, I think when you can see parts of your everyday life and see improvements or things getting easier in everyday life that you can attribute to sort of having a healthier lifestyle, I think that's the win. And people find it in depends what they do, or depends how they live their life. I can play with my kids, or I can get up and down off the floor easier. When you
sleeping better.
Yeah, I'm sleeping better. Or there's so many different ways that the gym will help you that usually isn't, I can lift heavier.
Yeah, but it's in saying that in the gym floor, I always say the numbers don't lie. So when you're on those conditioning pieces, you're seeing the screen. You can see the stroke rate, the RPM splits. This week it was this, and then 2 weeks time it's going to be this. And
when I started, it was this.
When I started, I was picking up the 12 kilo dumbbell, and now I'm easily picking up the 15, 17. So the numbers, something to pick up and visualize and go, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing differently.
Yeah, absolutely. And I in terms of my own personal experience, training with you guys, I always remember, I'd pick up whatever weight dumbbell I had, and Matt, you would kind of eye it off and be like, I think you can go heavier than that.
Yeah.
Which was really nice to know, because still, in terms of that mindset and those blocks, we still have those, blocks within ourselves that we think we can't do, lift. And it's not until someone else is seeing that, and they're like, oh, no, you can. You're made for more than that. So having that person there as well is a huge, huge positive impact on that mindset going
But
into.
it's practice as well. Like I always say, the more you play guitar, you're obviously going to get better at playing guitar because it's practice. And it's the same with strength training. As long as you keep doing it and take note, last week that was really, really tough, but this week wasn't so bad. So picking up, both male and female, there's no difference between this, but most men don't pick up the right weight, and then most females don't pick up the right weight. Everyone's the same. There's no gender that goes, they don't pick up enough, or it's too light. They're exactly the same in my experience.
And in your experience, is it we're all just picking up the lighter weight, or
everyone's very hesitant? They're not sure
yeah.
what they do until they've done and go, I can do that. And even people who've been here for months, I'm still going, you can do heavy. And I was like, yeah. And then they go, well, and then it's like, that.
Yeah. Brilliant. Nutrition.
Yes.
What is the absolute non-negotiable everyone should be doing?
Don't not eat.
Eat. The obvious ones, like prioritize your protein.
Yeah.
Your muscles need it, and your body needs your muscles to be strong and healthy. Yeah. And that's what you need. The basic is like it's energy in versus energy out. If you're not moving as much, you might need to eat less. If you're moving more, then you need to eat more.
You're gonna fuel your body. If you're feeling tight and grumpy,
you're probably hungry.
You're probably hungry or malnourished. There's reasons why you feel the way you feel. So food is so important, and water, like nutrition.
Drink your water, yeah.
Nutrition basic is eat your food, drink your water.
Yeah.
I put that on a shirt. Eat your water. Eat your water. That's right.
Eat your water. Yeah. Get those printed.
Yeah.
The other big ones are like try and make most of your meals yourself, because then you know what's in it.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're eating. Otherwise, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know where you're at?
Yeah. Well, that's another question. How do you know if you're eating enough? Is it just, are you tired and hangry?
Look, obviously the only real way is to track somehow, whether that's with a, MyFitnessPal or
any other.
And you don't have to track every single day, every single meal. But unless you have an idea of
ballpark,
and you're weighing some of your food, or you can see the portion size, you really won't know unless you've done that before.
And it is a process. It takes weeks, months to sort of figure out how many calories work for you and your lifestyle, because everyone's very, very different. We're on our feet pretty much all day, except for now. But people sit down for 8 to 10 hours a day.
You've got a desk job. Yeah.
Their neat calorie burn is nothing. So they're 4 gym sessions a week. Yeah, it's great to get to the gym, but
it doesn't counterbalance their sitting down.
You burn more calories not in the gym. So you're walking the stairs, walking up and down. And
I guess that, understanding of what neat calories are as well, like your neat expenditure, your non-exercise expenditure, it's always a guess, isn't it? But you get better over time if you actually pay attention to it.
Yeah. If I sit down all day, I'm not burning 2,000 calories. So
despite what your Apple Watch might tell you.
Why am I eating 2,500 calories? You know what I mean?
I guess that's don't take your fitness watches as sort of law.
As the Bible.
Gospel.
As gospel.
That's it.
So look, if you want to know, the obvious thing is if you're losing weight, you're definitely in a calorie deficit. If you're gaining weight, you are unfortunately in a surplus, and you might need to do that. If your weight hasn't changed very much over the last few months, you've probably found your maintenance.
Yeah.
Cool. What are the biggest mistakes or myths around strength training?
That women can get bulky. Lifting heavy weights is going to make women bulky.
Yeah.
I don't know how long I've tried to get bulky for, but it hasn't happened. So I'm the living proof.
Yeah.
You have to, I mean, like, I know some people look at these CrossFit athletes and they think, oh, they're so bulky, but these women train and eat and train and eat and do nothing else.
They're going to do it because that's what they want to do. Like,
yeah, I think another big one is this idea of toned. Like, what is toned? I want to get toned.
Therefore, you have to build muscle.
Yeah,
I don't want to build muscle.
What you mean
well, you do.
Exactly.
Yeah, the word toned is
tone is just tension in the muscle.
It's a definition. But to have definition, you have to have muscle. And how do you get muscle?
Yeah, it's just bigger. I think there's still a lot of women that are concerned about not getting bulky up here, but they want to be able to have really strong legs, and you just kind of think, well, how are you going to pick up a deadlift bar if you don't have any upper body strength?
Yeah,
exactly.
I would say that is still a very big misconception for some reason. The other idea, like the idea that if you want to lose weight, you should stick with cardio as well. Like, let's just do some sweaty sessions.
Yeah,
that's still a big misconception.
It's good. I think the balance, it has to be there. You have to lift probably more often than you condition, but you can't neglect your conditioning as well. Like, there's reasons why we do both. Me personally, I love a sweaty conditioning session, but sometimes you just like to lift weights. Like, and you're not going to feel as exhausted as a conditioning session, but there's a lot more benefits to strength training than cardio training.
Exactly. Yeah, both is important, and you're right. I think whilst people think cardio is the thing that you need to be doing to lose weight, it's actually muscle mass. That's what uses more energy and therefore will help you lose weight, so to speak. That's like grossly simplifying it. But so if you're not resistance training,
you might be skinny, but you're going to be exactly that skinny, aren't you?
But it's also the health benefits.
Healthy,
the health benefits for later on in life. Bone density.
Exactly.
That's like all this. It's scientifically known that if you're lifting weights now, by the time you're 30, 40 years old, you'll be a stronger human being.
That's why that's why you should be working out, isn't it? It's about longevity, and it's about, it does about, like, at 30 years old, you can be as fit as you want, but I want to be fit when I'm 60, or I want to be fit when I'm 70 and still moving well.
How old are you?
Matt, do you not know you never ask that?
Lying on podcast.
For the record, muscles.
Hey,
do bigger muscles equal more strength? Is that your nickname?
Yeah.
No, that's someone I don't know someone's name. I was like, "G'day, muscles." I forgot your name.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember.
Good question. I think so.
I don't think I'm unaware of anything that proves a direct correlation between the size of the muscle versus the strength. I think there's a lot more at work there. I think your range of motion, your biomechanics, biomechanics is a big one. I think there's a lot more factors at play than simply having big appearance of muscles.
But then there's
everyone's body's a bit different.
A bodybuilder who's 6'4" and looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger couldn't do what I do in a conditioning class, and I weigh nothing, and my strength and conditioning in that would be a lot better than they are, but they could obviously outbench me. It's okay.
Yeah. Stretching.
Yes.
Will that have an impact on your strength gains?
If you do it properly, yes. Obviously, the more mobile you are, the more you stretch, the more mobile you are. Range of motion is
huge.
Is a critical factor in strength training and getting better and performing better and actually using the muscles you should be using. Everyone should be stretching or mobilizing like daily.
I think stretching is stretching, but mobility is so important to your overall performance levels. And if you're not mobile, you're hindering your growth in certain things.
Yeah, you're really limiting yourself if you aren't also working on your mobility.
Yep.
Like you don't have to be the stretchiest person in the world, but you certainly need to be able to work into sort of like those extremes. You need to have the depth in your squat. You need to have that overhead flexibility. Otherwise, you're not going to get the most out of your workout. You're more prone to injury the less mobile you are.
Yeah.
For various reasons. And, you know, like everyone's built slightly differently. Not everyone is going to get the same range of motion, but you just need to work to your own. The best athletes in the world, you know, the elite CrossFitters are, if you look at their mobility, they're insane.
Incredible.
That they can hold those weights over their heads and sit in such deep squats.
Yeah.
Like they're mental.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's so important to point out, is that we need it in context to what we need it for. And like you said, you need that shoulder mobility, the that deep squat, and without stretching, it's not going to get any better. And I've heard a lot of people say you can use strength training as your mobility, but it's like, well, actually, if you don't have that range to begin with, and then you load it, that's actually, well, it's potentially injury inducing, and also you're teaching your brain the wrong thing and the wrong stimulus, and then you could be like compensating and changing your total movement pattern to get this end range workout, whatever it is that you're doing. So and the other thing is, whenever you mention flexibility or stretching, people go, "Oh, well, I don't need to do that. I don't need the splits."
No.
Yeah.
It's like, who said anything about the splits?
Well, no, you have to work really hard to get the split.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's not going to happen overnight. One stretch session.
Itself.
We find people like the deadlift is the most functional move you can do. So the deadlift hurts my back. I said, it's because
it's not the deadlift move. It's
what you've done the 6 hours previously, or the 10 hours before,
or it's trying to lift too heavy and you're not ready for it.
Your hip flexors are super tight because you've sat down for 10 hours a day. And so have you, as much as we preach it, have you done any flexibility, hip training or hip flex strengthening? No. So, well, it's not the deadlift, mate. It's actually how you're moving the weight. In hindsight, or in actual fact, the deadlift is actually the best thing for any lower back pain. It actually
strengthens your whole posterior
chain.
Exactly.
But yeah, teaching people about mobility is a hard one.
It'll never end.
It's a forever struggle. I'm sure you experience it every day with your clients.
Every day.
And people think
exactly. I have this sore leg. Have you stretched? No, but I did do that 30-kilometer run.
Yeah.
I'm seeing you.
I think
exactly.
Like really drastically underestimate, like you could have tight hamstrings and people don't know that that's going to give you like so many other issues, or like my lower back is sore, but it could come from like, I don't know, flat feet. Like people, underestimate how connected you are.
Yeah.
And you've got a sore, I don't know, trap, but you actually got like, it's just a tight forearm. I don't know, it could be anything. People underestimate the connection between your body and
Absolutely. But as you know, simplest things to fix, it's that couch stretch, that pigeon stretch, that dead hang, that child's pose, simple moves that yoga have been doing for centuries, decades. It does help. It really does.
Exactly. It's not a decades-long practice for nothing.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. It's having that conversation with clients as well, and that education piece. And again, we can educate as much as we want, and people have the choice to do what they want at the end of the day, but at least they know. And from then on, you can, put that into context around what the goal is for that particular person anyway.
It's also leading by example.
Yeah,
yes.
We do offer a stretch class for people. A lot of people won't take up the offer, but they see that it is, part of a well-rounded program.
Yeah, well, I warm up every day. I have to do certain warm-ups for my just day-to-day life. And if people see me doing that.
Yeah, just generally. And, we're all of, us two and our coaches that are here, everyone here has like great mobility. And I think members see that and understand, kind of go, oh, okay, well, if the coaches are like that, maybe there's something to
it. They can go that low on a squat.
Yeah, or if, you know,
maybe it is important.
Maybe it is important.
Who knew?
And, you know, so especially for, like, I guess from a male perspective, for a female perspective, it's not unusual to be a bit more flexy, but from a male perspective, I guess they see, you know, Matt can still deadlift 200 kilos, but he can touch his toes as well, like that. Seeing that you can be both, you know. Yeah,
it's having, you know, the depth in the squat and the chin-ups and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not getting any older, but it's practice. Not getting any older. No, I'm not getting any older.
What?
Yeah, I wish.
I'll tell you about it.
He's immortal.
Yes, practice, but I think I'm more mobile now than I was 5 years ago.
Oh, you're certainly more mobile now than when I first met you 13 years ago. Yeah.
All right. So what is the most significant waste of time in training? Is there anything?
Look, all movement is good.
Yeah, something's better than nothing.
Something is always better than nothing. Look, the waste of time is
the suits that shoot electricity around your body.
It's like a.
No.
It's not. You're not talking about a TENS machine or like Are they for your abs?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. What a lot of waffle.
Those pads. Yeah.
Look, there is a lot of things that are not the most efficient use of time or not the most effective, but I still believe that any movement is better than no movement.
For us, if you enjoy it, then hell, do it.
But look, I just think you should just follow a program that's actually been thought through and is going to get the most out of your time. Like, you can go to a gym and sit on 12 different machines and be there for an hour and a half, but it's not going to get you where you want to be quicker. So I guess the only waste of time is not following a proper program.
Going in blind is the hardest part.
Yeah, huge. It's about that intention and understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. Back to what you said before, Matt.
Why?
Someone only has 20 minutes to work out. What should they do for greatest benefit? And I know you know context would be nice. So let's say strength wise that their goal is to just full body strength, get stronger.
Yeah, it'd be just that. It'd be full body strength. You're trying to hit every major muscle group in that 20-minute. But it depends on your time. If you're doing that 5 days a week, then I would split it up into lower, upper. But you want to do as much as you can
in that time.
In the time frame.
So you have minimal rest, obviously. Yep. You're probably going to be supersetting or EMOMing.
EMOMing, yeah.
There's lots of different ways you can do it. There's lots of great people that have whole platforms surrounded by this. There's a really great guy called Dad Bod Wad, who that's his whole thing, is he does strength training in about 20 minutes because that's all the time he has because he's a dad. So there's, I think,
it's maximizing your time.
It is definitely possible. It's like 100% possible. Like Matt said, you need to hit all the major muscle groups and you need to hit them differently every time.
From different angles. Yeah. I wouldn't do the same thing every day, otherwise your body gets used to it. But your body takes literally 2 or 3 days to recover from, let's say, a chest workout, and you can
come back to it.
You go and do it again. That's why the famous bro split doesn't work and probably never works. You do chest and triceps on a Monday. You don't touch it again until the following Monday.
It's not the most efficient use.
It's not the most efficient use of time. You have 6 days of rest. Your body is pretty much recovered in 2 or 3.
So. Yeah.
Hit it again.
Good to know. What is your definition of success in the context of health and fitness, but also personally for the both of you, and then also your careers?
I think a successful sort of fitness journey is being able to include everything you want to include in it. So what that means is, for me, I like to go, I'm from Orange. I like to be able to go home to see my family and friends in Orange, and not feel like I have to train while I'm there. If I go for a walk and stuff, I feel great about it. If I don't feel bad about it, because I know that I'm consistent enough in most of the time that I'm not going to lose out by not doing it. And it's the same when it comes to your nutrition. I know that I'm consistent enough most days that by having a splurge day, weekend, week holiday isn't going to affect my overall.
The grand scheme of
things. And I think it's a really good spot to get to, because I know a lot of people find it really hard, especially females. They get really overwhelmed by counting calories, by feeling like they need to eat salads, by feeling like they need to restrict themselves, that they can't enjoy these off-planned sort of weekends, days, nights. And I think when you get to a point where you've been doing it long enough, or you understand the process enough that you can fit everything you want to fit into your life and still be happy with the way you look, I think that is success.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it takes time, and it takes a lot of practice. And I think, unfortunately, it is a bit more tailored towards women, because they've been fed these misconceptions for a long time now. It's not to say it doesn't happen to the blokes as well, but I think when you can be comfortable in the way you look, and that being comfortable doesn't mean you're in peak fitness. Like, there's certainly been times in my life where I've been leaner or I've been stronger or whatever like that, but that, I guess it's that full acceptance, isn't it, of looking the way you look and being okay with it.
Yeah, seeing worthy in who you are and not what you look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely where you want to get to, and is a good spot to be. I always get really I guess it's disheartening when you see girls and they're like, I don't want to track because I get really overwhelmed, or I get really obsessive, or or we do projects and challenges within the gym that are sort of less about eating and more about performance. But some women just think, well, how am I gonna? I have a dinner on Saturday night. How am I gonna track that? And it's like, well, you just not. That's like, just don't track it.
Exactly. Yeah,
and I feel it's really nice when people go through these weekends and come out the other side and still get really good results at the end of their performance week, and know that weekend away in wine country didn't interrupt it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And what about business?
In business, well, I guess it's when you have this, when we've created you want to, yes, we're a gym, yes, we're group fitness. You want to create like a one-stop shop, don't you? Like, you want to have people be able to come to you for advice in all elements of health and wellness and fitness. And it doesn't mean that I can necessarily give someone a massage, but it's like, oh, but Jackie can. So like, or, we can help them with other elements, their recovery, their nutrition. Can we help mums who are, pre or postnatal? Can we help the youth, get a youth program? So I think once we're in a position where we can pretty much offer,
every aspect,
a sort of a well-rounded aspect to majority of people, you're never going to be able to cater for everyone. But yeah, I think that would be where I would think, you can tick all the boxes.
Amazing. Matt?
Yeah.
I think it's having the ability to do things and be injury free. I think as we get older, injuries do happen. Obviously not warming up properly or cooling down, whatever it is. I have tendonitis the past 3 months, but I know that's my fault because I haven't done the rehab, and that's my own issue, Jackie. So it's being able to do things that I want to do and be free of pain, and to do that for a long time. As we get older, the muscles, past 40, things get harder for me. And that's okay, but I still want to be able to lift and run and do the ski erg and all that kind of stuff, and move well as I get older.
I think that's it. As we do get older, and a lot of our members are a similar age to us, injuries happen. It's just part of life. Or you might be sore in a particular spot for whatever reason, is still coming to class and just modifying or asking for regressions or stuff. I think that's it, is educating members that injuries are just part of life, really. Not necessarily injuries, but like soreness and tight spots are is something you're going to live with from now on, because we're not 20 anymore.
Yeah.
So you can't really use it as an excuse to stop doing workouts. You know, like obviously there's injuries where you do simply have to stop. But for the most part, you should keep moving.
Yeah. You have to work through it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think it's not until you get to this sort of age and you do experience an injury and you take a step back and go, oh, wait a minute, this needs to be, like, the goal needs to be longevity now. It's not so much about, I mean, yes, depending on who you are and what you want, like, longevity is key at the end of the day. If you can't, like you said, you know, play with the kids, get off the ground, you know, take the groceries from the car up the stairs, wherever it is. Yeah, like it is about that longevity. And then from there, all the awesome goals that you want to hit come from there. But
yeah, I mean, my old man, he retired hurt. He pulled his back out, just picking something up off the floor and putting it in the back of his ute when he was working on it. Just the simplest, stupidest thing. And he had to retire hurt. He was 52, 53.
Yeah. It's similar with my dad. He had major back surgery when I was quite young.
But
he sat down. He was a uni lecturer who spent most of his time sitting down at a desk, marking papers, whatever. And yeah, he had early retirement at definitely before 60. He was sort of mid 50s when he had early retirement. And it's not like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be.
Plus, it's not uncommon either.
Yeah, and that's, that's not uncommon for our people, our parents' age.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be like that. I don't want anyone our age to be like that.
No, you want to live a long, healthy life. Yeah, you get older, of course, but you don't want your hip to go out when you're 65.
That's it, yeah. I want to choose when I retire. I don't want to have to do anything because my body doesn't allow me to. And you're right, like how many times have I heard clients come in and like, I sneezed and my back went out, or like I put something in the bin and my back went out. Literally, people have said that to me. So it's move, keep well, longevity is key.
Keep moving, as business, I think it's, as Alex says, having a nice full community where people enjoy being here, and I want this to be a destination. So they want to come out of their way to come to class and train here. And it'd be good to get another site, or maybe 2 or 3 other sites across Australia where that might be. But it's going to be hard post-COVID to find the growth as everything sort of slows down. But it'd be good to have a few sites under our belt and do them well and be proud of what we've done.
Well, you've already got the community tick.
Got some good people.
You've done that really well. So should be proud of that. In speaking of being proud, what has been the proudest moment for you both as coaches and then personally as well in your own fitness journey?
I think it's, it goes back to what we were talking about just before. I think it's just being content with where everything is right now. And it's not to say we're just going to sit here and lull with it, but I think it's a really nice feeling to be happy. Like, I know I can train. I've got this gym full of nice people who want to come and train with us. And I think that's a nice feeling in itself. And I guess especially opening post-COVID, like we opened literally as soon as the government was like, yeah, by the way, gyms can open. And we were like, okay, let's do it. You didn't know what was going to happen, do you? So I think the fact that you can still grow in a weird time is a nice feeling in itself.
I think the fact that we're still got our heads above water all these months later after COVID, even on the weekend, I was talking about people. So you're still going? I'm like, yeah, here we are.
There's not been a time where it's been like, oh, this is too hard, or we don't want to do this because, it's a tough economic situation and everything, but there's never been a better time to be healthier or be fitter or to make it important. It just has to be, it looks a little bit different. Like your business obviously looks a little bit different in a post-COVID world or COVID world. But there actually has just never been a better time. Like people should are prioritizing not just health and fitness, but community as much as anything. For some people, you know, like we have members who they live by themselves. I mean, there was an article just the other week about how hard it is to make friends in Sydney.
That's right,
yeah. I don't know, Sydney was like top 3 or something of the hardest cities in the world to make friends. Yeah, it was. So yeah, and I guess people and working from home, so there's less social. So like, if you enjoy fitness, or even if you just understand it as a priority, let's make a space that is friendly and welcoming, where we do social events that tie in with health and fitness. It gives people an excuse to socialize that way.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I think for us,
copy paste.
I am here. Yeah.
I think Proudest is pretty much doing the fit out pretty much by ourselves. We had a plumber and a chippy builder, but this is mostly what we did. You know, it was hours and hours, and I painted that roof for 4 days. So that was my blood, sweat, and tears, and a few hospital trips in the middle, and it was a lot of hard work. And I'm proud that we are still learning and wanting to learn to do better. I'm not just sitting on our morals and going, yeah, that'll do. It's always like, how can we make it better? We're always going, what's next?
What else do we need to do? What else do we need to do?
What's happening next phase? And you always have to be pushing what's going to happen next. And I'm proud that we haven't sort of sat there and gone, well, this is all we can do. Shit, like you can always do better.
Exactly. I love that. And that's very much part of my mentality as well. It's always striving for better. You're always, always coming in with that beginner's mindset. Learn as much as you can from the situations, from the people around you, from, everything possible. And it's so important that you do, take a step back and actually look at the place and go, holy shit, we did this.
Well, it wasn't until the weekend that someone said that. I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Because we're always in it the day. Like, you step back and go, I wasn't here on the weekend. I'm like, he goes, oh, the videos look amazing and gym looks pumping, looks really fun. I'm like,
it is fun.
Yeah, it is fun. You're right.
Yeah, exactly. And recognize that you've done good. Tell us, where can we find, only in Sydney at the moment, where can we find Unit? And if people are out there preferring one-on-one as well, how do they find you guys and get in touch with you?
Yeah, guys. So, I mean, Instagram is the biggest way. Unit Sydney, Instagram, Facebook. Obviously, we have a website. We have an email address, alexandria@unit.com. People can, social media is the easiest way to look us up. Check out what we do. Have a little stalk. We like it. We spend a lot of time adding content for you guys. So
plus we're in Alexandria in Sydney.
We're in Alexandria in Sydney, so we're super easy to get to. It's
on a big road. You can't miss it.
Major roads.
Car parking.
Everything. Got everything you can want here.
What do you want?
Yeah. So,
and an incredible bakery around the corner.
Yeah, there's a bakery at the front. We have to actively avoid.
Yeah, it's hard. They're such nice people as well.
I know.
I was there way too often.
Yeah.
Before and after a session. And then on my days off as well. But anyway, we're not here to talk about that.
Truth comes out.
Yeah.
Amazing. To finish off, one last question. What do you guys think is important for people to understand about their training and training progress?
That it should always be with longevity in mind. That you should just be wanting to be able to do this in 50 years' time.
I think for me, it's the why, the reasons why you're doing the things that you do. Set yourself a goal, and there's a long-term goal, there's a short-term goal, but along the way, there will be some stuff-ups, there will be some good days, some bad weeks. It's okay, but there's a why, there's a reason why you want to do it.
I think there's a really nice saying that a lady put up on Instagram the other day, and it's be stubborn with your goals, but flexible with your approach.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? She's a very wise lady. But yeah, you need to, with your why or with your reasons or where you're going, you know where you want to go, but life happens. So you've got to be.
Exactly. Journey will not be easy or linear or.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Nothing is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Matt, Alex, thank you so much for chatting with me today. It's been awesome to chat with you. It's been awesome to see your faces again, and all the best for the future, because I think you guys are doing amazing things.
Jax, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks, Jackie Chan.
That was Matt and Alex of Unit. If you're in Sydney, make sure you check them out. I'm pretty sure they have a trial offer, and I can guarantee you'll be in there for one class, and that is all you'll need to make the decision that that is the right place for you, no doubt. If you loved this episode, share it with your friends. Leave a review, because that's really helpful for the podcast as well. And of course, subscribe. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Have the best day, week, month, and year. And here's to a world of bodies built better.